All I've got to say is if you collected with Clemson on Monday night, you got your comeuppance last night. Trust me, I know because I was one of you. And, of course, if you lost with Alabama on Monday night thanks to Clemson's touchdown with 12 seconds to go to get the backdoor cover, and last night you had Green Bay, well, needless to say, you got your payback and you managed to collect. I'm telling you, the gambling gods are very, very fickle. And nothing more fickle than having two Hail Mary passes in a single season, both working for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, statistically, what are the odds of that happening? I mean, they've got to be astronomical. I deal with numbers every single day. I'm not an accountant, okay? I'm not an actuary, but statistically, I don't ever remember a guy having two successful Hail Mary passes that one affected the outcome of games. One, giving the Packers a course to come from behind and win on the road against Detroit, overcoming a double-digit deficit. And, of course, last night's win, turning a sure victory for the Cardinals because 7-point line, if you followed my advice, you bought down to 6.5, turning a sure win for the Cardinals into a failure to cover by 1/2 point in overtime. And it's another one of those games, guys, when these type of things happen. Listen, we're big boys. You got to shrug your shoulders, use your favorite profanity, and I had a few choice ones last night for this particular one, and say, well, I can't really say that because this is a family-oriented program. But needless to say, there are a lot of words that I'd like to say about that finish last night. Just amazing. I mean, just amazing. Again, you handicap a game, you look at a game, you see a game play out, and then you see some fluky play or series of events turn the tide. Crazy, crazy finish to that game. So, for guys like myself, guys like Trace Adams, who had been on a phenomenal roll with those double your wager plays, suddenly a victory is snatched right out of your pocket, literally, and turned into a defeat on a Hail Mary pass again. The second one of the season for Aaron Rodgers. Crazy, crazy stuff. And what really ticks me off, to be honest with you, is that yesterday, if you happen to visit the website, I couldn't do a video report yesterday, and today's report, once again, being brought to you by the wonders of Chloroseptic Spray. I gave you a beautiful breakdown, spelled it out exactly how it would play out for the Patriots to take care of business, and they did. And, of course, I lost money on a Hail Mary play. I don't know what's worse. I really can't tell you what's worse. Oregon losing in triple overtime, blowing a 31-0 third-quarter lead in the Alamo Bowl against TCU, or losing on that Hail Mary play last night. I mean, they're both losses, but they hurt. Hey, guys, needless to say, this is going to be your Sunday video report. Listen, I think the best bet today is the early game between Carolina and Seattle. So I'm going to give you the free play on Denver and Pittsburgh in just a moment. One guy I want to make you aware of. Chuck O'Brien returned to the site after a near 3-year absence early last month, and what a beautiful, beautiful run he has gone on. Yesterday, he was one of the few handicappers, I think there was only one other guy perhaps at the most, who bucked the trends because everybody and their brother bought into that Kansas City stuff. I couldn't tell you, as I laid out in my free pick, I just thought the Chiefs weren't going to do the job yesterday because you had to take Tom Brady at home, and the Patriots delivered with the 7-point win, laying, 4.5 to 5 points in the game. Well, Chuck O'Brien is from the Boston area, so a little bit of a Patriots fan so far. And yet, I got to give him credit because his first NFL play this season, he went against the Patriots and took Denver Broncos, who went out right as the home dog in overtime, remember? And knocked the Patriots from the ranks of the unbeaten. Well, yesterday he had a 50-dime play on the Patriots. And a 50-dime play has been his highest rated play in football. And, thanks to yesterday's win, 6-1 with them so far. Today, he has his first 75-dime NFL release. It's on the Broncos Steelers. It's the half price play of the day simply by using the coupon code BIGGEST, BIGGEST, because it is the biggest play that he's released since his return in football. He's had one other 75-dime play. I think it was back on January 7th. It was Marshall in college basketball, an 11.5 point home favorite against Florida Atlantic, and the Thundering Herd destroyed them in that game by a 90-67 final. You got that play as the half-price play of the day. Same thing goes today from Chuck O'Brien. All your other discounts, coupon codes, etc., including another 100-dime release from Shawn Michaels, the winningest football handicapper here at the site. a guy who's made $10 betters in football. Oh gosh, a little over 21 grand, I think it is, over the past 6 years. And 100 dime NFL releases, 60 wins, 37 losses, 3 pushes over the past 6 seasons. 100 dimer on the late game between Pittsburgh and Denver. And again, and that's a huge discounted play, by the way. You save $55 by using coupon code Sean, his first name, SEAN. Let's get to this complimentary play here. And I've got a college basketball complimentary play as well. For me yesterday, I mitigated and reduced the disaster from that Hail Mary finale because I had a 10-dime play on Marshall yesterday in college basketball, where in that particular case, the gambling gods were smiling on me because Marshall went off at 3 to 3.5, and they managed to win the road game by 4, and that was college basketball winner number 7 out of 8 for me overall in the past week and a half or so. So it certainly cut down on the losses, but again, I'd rather win than lose and win at you. So I have a complimentary play in college hoops today on your contest between Houston and Connecticut, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But first, let's do the late game between Denver and Pittsburgh. And guys, excuse me. I told you, I've warned you all week, and actually for weeks now. Very hard to do these video reports when you're hacking away. And a year now, I expect to get healthy again. Listen, I got to go with Denver in this game. And there's a multitude of reasons why, but you watched the end of the Steelers-Cincinnati game last week. You saw Ben Roethlisberger get slammed to the turf. You saw him holding his shoulder, stiff to his body, couldn't move. You saw him standing on the sidelines for that first series of plays when they sent Landry Jones out. He wasn't healthy enough then, but then when the Steelers lost the lead, he came back. And listen, valiant effort. Clearly couldn't throw the ball much. Didn't have much velocity. Even after the game, admitted that he had a problem going deep. And it took all he had just to get the ball downfield about 25, 30 yards for the play that ultimately resulted in the numerous penalties that put the Steelers in the position to kick the game-winning field goal. Sprained shoulder? Who knows? Who really knows what the issue here is? But you do know he's not 100%. And if the Steelers don't have a 100% quarterback, excuse me again, guys, how do they win this game? Remember what happened when Denver went into Pittsburgh last month, opened up the big lead at halftime. Well, it was because Roethlisberger was so magnificent in that game. 355 yards. He threw the ball 55 times, completed 40 passes. I think if he throws the ball 40 times today, his arm falls off, okay? I don't think he's throwing for 355 yards and 3 touchdowns today. And I know something else, too. He's not going to be throwing to his favorite receiver, Antonio Brown, because of Pac-Man Jones' cheap shot. And Brown had, 16 catches in the first go-round? Excuse me again, guys, seriously. So not only are you going to be without Antonio Brown, you're also going to be out without D'Angelo Williams. Now, I mentioned on Monday's video report I was quite impressed last week, or it was Sunday's video report a week ago. I was quite impressed with the way that Todd Haley called for so many creative runs, despite not having D'Angelo Williams in there, and how successful they were at running the ball, the Steelers were, against a Cincinnati run defense. It's pretty good, but Denver's run defense is much better. And listen, Denver's pass rush, much better as well. Some guys will say, hey, Denver had 52 quarterback sacks to lead the league this year. The Steelers had, I think, 48 sacks, and they were in the top 3 as well. So these teams are pretty even pass rushing wise. Well, yes, rushing the quarterback, they're even. But there's a big statistical difference. Pittsburgh, 30th ranked pass defense in the NFL this season, because about the only thing they could do was blitz. And they had the blitz to make up for their deficiencies at the linebacker and their deficiencies in the secondary because their coverage skills were awful. Peyton Manning, we know, going today. Hey, listen. I just think that there are sometimes you run into certain situations in gambling where it's preordained. This is a guy that was given up for dead 3 months ago, okay? Came off the bench, rallied them to the final win of the regular season. Now he has another shot of redemption to prove his critics wrong. And you know Peyton Manning is just itching for this opportunity. If Pittsburgh was healthy, well, hell, this line would be 3.5 to 4 points. So it's worth being 7.5. I'm buying down the half point, and I'm taking Denver in this contest. This is tough, guys. I'm telling you. The other play is going to be Houston -1 at home against Connecticut. I have some qualms about Houston because, when I look at the strength of schedule between these two teams, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Houston has not played as good of a schedule. So even though they are a 13-3 team, look at who they lost to: Rhode Island, Grand Canyon, and in their most recent game, to Cincinnati. Well, they have an RPI of 126. Now, Connecticut is 11-5, but Connecticut lost to Syracuse, Gonzaga, Maryland, Temple, and Tulsa in their last game. Well, but their RPI, their strength of schedule, is 83. But they haven't performed well on the road. Houston has covered 7 of its last 8 games at home. I think it has won 10 consecutive games, 13 in a row. 13 in a row at home overall. Their backcourt, Dotson and Gray, Rob Gray Jr. and Damian Dotson. In the Cincinnati game last week, and remember, Cincinnati, a damn good defensive team, and it was on the road, too. The Bearcats were hosting them. They struggled. These two guys combined for a little over 29 points. Well, in that game, they were a combined 4 for 19 from the field. Is that going to happen again playing at home against a Connecticut team that, even though it's played a tougher schedule, has yet to play good ball on the road? You've got the number 2 and number 4 scoring teams in terms of offense, points per game, in the AAC here meeting today. Houston is number 2, averaging 80 points a game. That is the most the Cougars have averaged per game. You have to go back to the 1990-91 season. UConn, only 3.5, 4 points behind it. Still, I just think that this is a particular spot with the Huskies coming off the loss at Tulsa. It was 60-51, a game in which they had just 25 points in the second half of that contest. I got to go with Houston tonight to rebound at home. Actually, it's a daytime game. This game goes at 2 o'clock Eastern time. Houston is your other complimentary play. So it's going to be the Broncos. And remember, I'm buying down the half point at 7.5. And the Houston Cougars as your 2 complimentary plays. That'll do it, guys. Again, my apologies for hacking my way through this. Can't say I didn't warn you. And please, let's have the gambling gods look on us favorably today. I can't take any more of these ridiculous losses, and neither can you. Good luck, everybody. I'll talk to you again on Monday. Bye-bye.